Something serious is happening in Canada, and most Canadians are only just starting to notice. This isn't about partisan politics. It's not about provinces hassling each other. It isn't about Alberta's grievances, and it's not about the old West versus East argument. This is about foreign power, foreign pressure, and foreign interference. Today, we're talking about the Trump administration's growing interest in Alberta. What's driving it, and why it's dangerous, and what it means, not just for Canada, but for the world. Think about this in three parts. First, the motive: energy, pipelines, and leverage. Second, the method: destabilization, separatists' flirtation, and pressure politics. And third, the risk to Canadian sovereignty, national unity, and global norms. Because once a powerful country starts testing waters, it can fracture a neighbor from the inside. The damage doesn't stop at the border. Let's start with the motive. This story begins with oil. For the US, it always does, doesn't it? Alberta sits on one of the largest energy reserves on Earth. The US knows it, and the orange fascist gangster administration wants reliable, controllable access to it. Not through Ottawa, not through federal environmental reviews, and definitely not through Pacific pipelines blocked by Canadian politics. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said it openly. He calls Alberta a natural partner, and he hinted that Alberta's energy should flow south, first and foremost. That's not casual talk, that's strategic language, because pipelines aren't just infrastructure, they are leverage. And this brings us to the second motive: pressure. The Trump administration is locked in a high-stake trade negotiation with Canada under Kushner. At the same time, it's quietly engaging with separatist voices inside the Canadian province of Alberta. That's not diplomacy, that's destabilization. The orange fascist gangster favorites move, plain and simple. By signaling interest in supporting Alberta's independence, Washington applies pressure on Ottawa without firing a single shot. It weakens Canadians' negotiation position, and not just for Kushner. It creates internal division, and it forces our Canadian government to look over its shoulders during talks that affects the entire country. This tactic isn't new. The kicker is that it is rarely used against allies. And let's talk about how this pressure is being applied. Since April 2025, leaders of the Alberta Prosperity Project have reportedly met with US State Department officials in Washington 3 separate times. 3 meetings, not accidental, and not for small talks. During those meetings, separatist figures reportedly floated a staggering idea: a request for a $500 billion US line of credit, money to bankroll an independent Alberta if a referendum succeeds. That alone should make you stop. Foreign financing for the breakup of Canada, initiated in Alberta and discussed inside Washington offices? Some US officials have gone even further, enthusiastically supporting an independent Alberta and suggesting it could be put on a path towards becoming the 51st state. Are you fucking kidding me? Who the hell do they think they are? Trump allies have echoed that sentiment publicly, saying Alberta's minerals and energy would be too valuable to ignore. Let's be clear, this isn't support for democracy. This is an attempt of resource grabbing. And when the White House says no commitments were made, it probably means the opposite, in true Trump's lying fashion. But it doesn't undo the damage, because the meeting happened and the message was sent. Canada is fair game, if not in whole, then in parts. Now, how are Canadians responding? Prime Minister Carney didn't mince words. He demanded that the Orange conman respects Canadian sovereignty and stay out of our internal democratic process. That's diplomatic language for something much sharper. Fuck off, as the Danish member of the European Parliament, Anders Vistisen, told him early this month already. And British Columbia Premier David Eby also did not mince words. He called those actions treasonous and said soliciting foreign help to break up Canada crosses a line that cannot be tolerated. Ontario Premier Doug Ford echoed that concern, calling the behavior unacceptable, unethical, and dangerous at the moment when Canada needs unity. This isn't political theater. This is alarm. Meanwhile, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has tried to walk a careful line. She says she supports the southern Alberta within the unity of Canada. Apparently, she rejects US statehoods, and she insists discussing about Alberta's future belong to Canada alone. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When foreign governments engage separatist movements directly, neutrality is no longer an option. Now let's ground this in reality. Despite all the noise, most Albertans are smarter and do not want to leave Canada. Polling shows roughly 3/4 want to remain parts of this country. Among those who do support separation, independence is far more popular than joining the US. And outright US statehood is deeply unpopular across the province. As you can see, it is not a mass movement, it is a minority, vocal, organized, but emboldened by foreign attention. And that's exactly why this is still dangerous. Because you don't need a majority support to destabilize a country. You just need fraction. Now zoom out. What does it mean for Canadians? It means our sovereignty is being tested. Not with tanks, not with threats, but with money, meetings and strategic ambiguity. It means internal disagreements are being weaponized by external powers, and that means trust is eroding. Trust that allies don't interfere in domestic politics. Trust that borders are respected. Trust that economic partnerships aren't used as pressure tools. And the implications go far beyond Canada. If the US can openly flirt with fragmenting its closest ally, what message does it send to the rest of the world? That sovereignty is conditional. That resources invite interference. That power sets the rules. Greenland, anyone? Other countries are watching. Smaller nations, resource-rich nations, nations already under pressure. If this tactic works here, it will be copied elsewhere. That's how global norms break down, quietly, incrementally. And finally, let's talk about intent. Why is the orange fascist gangster doing this? Because he wants Canada. Not necessarily the flag, not necessarily the whole country, but the leverage, the resources. Our submission, one way or the other. Divide the country, pressure the government, extract concessions. This isn't speculation, it's a pattern recognition. And history tells us where it leads. Countries that allow foreign interference to go unanswered don't wake up one day and fix it. They lose ground, slowly first, but then all at once. So, this is the moment, not for panic, but for clarity. Canadians need to understand what's at stake. Our unity, our sovereignty, and our future. This isn't about Alberta versus Ottawa, it's about Canada versus interference. And if you care about this country, pay attention. Talk about it. Share it. Hold leaders accountable on both sides of the border. Because once a foreign power decides our country is negotiable, silence is not neutrality, it's surrender. and that is not who we are. If you found this breakdown useful, please like the video, share it, and subscribe to our channel. It really helps to do what I do. Thanks for watching. I'm Wilfried Lemkuller with Europe Curious.